The mutants in Jurassic World Rebirth are hybrids, and I have proof from the writer himself. Jurassic World Rebirth introduces two new mysterious creatures. The enormous Distortus Rex, a T-Rex with a bulbous head and an extra pair of long gorilla-like arms, and the Mutadon, a smaller, winged carnivore with raptor sickle claws and a mouth that ends in a pointed beak. The marketing for Jurassic World Rebirth has avoided the word hybrid, calling them mutations instead. I've long been of the highly unpopular opinion that this rebranding was just to hide the truth. The mutants are hybrids, they just didn't want to call them that. Now, I thought they were avoiding the word hybrid because the marketing strategy has very much been, this is a return to Jurassic Park. They mention Jurassic Park in every interview and video.
It takes me more back to, the first Jurassic Park.
For anyone who loves the original Jurassic films, this is the movie for you.
It harkens back to the first film.
They've promoted the film in a video literally titled Classic Jurassic. The marketing machine is banking on the enduring masterpiece that is Jurassic Park. They know that film is the foundation of this franchise and its fan base, and they know that the later Jurassic World films have steadily chipped away at that foundation. Hybrids are a Jurassic World concept, so the word hybrid is out of place in their love letter to the original Jurassic Park. That's why I thought they rebranded them as mutants. But after seeing the second trailer, I think the real reason why they have been skirting around the word hybrid is because they consider it a spoiler. It is, after all, the origin of their big mystery monster, and while the trailers show a lot, they want to keep some surprises. The comparison between the first and the second trailer proves that the first trailer was purposefully deceptive to lead us astray. The two-headed tiger-striped raptor was merely a placeholder for the Mutadon, giving credence to the mutant angle because developing a second head is a natural occurring mutation, and it also hid the design and mere existence of the Mutadons just a little longer. Replacing the Mutadon with the raptor is no different from the trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home editing the two other Spider-Men out of the shot. The first trailer also has a line that I think was put in there just to mislead us.
This island was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park.
This implied that the D-Rex was made in the early days of InGen, when they were first figuring out how to clone dinosaurs to populate the original theme park, and one of their first attempts at making a T-Rex came out deformed. Again, another bit of info that made the mutation origin story more believable, just so we wouldn't figure out the truth. While there might be an older lab on the island as well, dating back to the 80s, early 90s to service the original Jurassic Park, the lab that is key to the plot of Jurassic World Rebirth was still active in 2010, by which time Jurassic World had already been operational for 5 years. The D-Rex was made in this new lab, same with the Mutadons. It doesn't make sense for the D-Rex to be a failed T-Rex and the Mutadons be a failed raptor, because the cloning technology had already been perfected by 2010. And you don't give your science mishaps names and version numbers. If this was an attempt at a T-Rex, it would have been T-Rex version 2.3.111, not D-Rex. Like I said, I always thought the D-Rex was a hybrid rebranded as a mutant, and this opinion was met with a lot of backlash. I think anyone who's ever accidentally called the D-Rex a hybrid online got the same response: it's a mutant, not a hybrid. To many, within the context of the information available, the D-Rex was seen as a believable random mutation rather than a purposeful, albeit failed, attempt at hybridization. Because while we can recognize the base genome of T-Rex in the lower jaw and the arms and the general body structure, the rest isn't easily placed. It's not like we can clearly identify that the bulbous head is from one dinosaur and the arms are from another dinosaur. However, hybrids don't have to be a literal mash of creatures. Not all hybrids are like Spinoraptors, Stegoceratops, Sinoceratops, and Ankylodocus, where you can clearly see the base features of two creatures slapped together. Indominus Rex, Indoraptor, and Scorpius Rex are hybrids too. but you see how these are not so obvious in design. And the D-Rex is this kind of hybrid, where there's so much thrown into the mix that the sum of parts is more complicated and less recognizable. Just because it doesn't look like an obvious hybrid doesn't mean that it isn't a hybrid. The second trailer and the reveal of the Mutadons being developed in the same lab as the D-Rex cemented my beliefs that these are hybrids. Because the Mutadon is one of those more obvious hybridizations. It's a very literal combination of a raptor and a pterosaur, retaining recognizable features from both. So in my trailer analysis last week, I came to the following conclusion. I think they are mutated hybrids. Yes, hybrids. In Jurassic World, we see the Indominus Rex, which is a successful hybrid. That was 5 years after this moment in time. I think InGen in 2010 was experimenting with making hybrids, and it went awry. Very awry. More people were definitely on board with this theory at this point because it just makes sense. Jurassic World opened in 2005, and by 2015 they had a perfectly formed adult hybrid stomping about. The process to get to the Indominus Rex would certainly already have been underway in 2010 when the D-Rex lab scene takes place. A successful hybrid would have been in development for years, with many failed attempts along the way. The D-Rex and the Mutadon, I figured, are two of those early failed attempts. They were cooked up in an early attempt to make a marketable hybrid to boost ticket sales for Jurassic World in the future. Not a direct early iteration of the Indominus Rex, but instead you could see it as trying out many different recipes and then picking one to perfect. And without realizing it, the theory that these are failed hybrids had already been proven correct by the Empire magazine article that came out a week before the second trailer. With the hindsight of having now seen this new trailer and having this theory in my head of the failed hybridizations, a quote from David Koepp in Empire magazine about the mutants stood out to me. We saw in some of the previous Jurassic World movies that their experiments made dinosaurs bigger, meaner, scarier. And it occurred to me and Steven that those can't all have gone well. This is genetic experimentation. Things are not going to work out sometimes. He's not talking about failed experiments for the original Jurassic Park like the first trailer said. He's talking about Jurassic World. He's talking about failed experiments for the Jurassic World theme park. Experiments specifically to make the dinosaurs bigger, meaner, scarier. Dare I say, cooler?
Bigger. Scarier? Cooler, I believe, is the word that you used in your memo.
He's referencing the experiments to make the Indominus Rex, and later the Indoraptor. That is the origin of the D-Rex and the Mutadon. They were experimenting with hybridization in 2010 to come to the Indominus Rex in 2015 and the Indoraptor in 2018. I've gotten some comments from Camp Cretaceous fans that it's not possible for the D-Rex and the Mutadons to be hybrids because canonically the Scorpius Rex was the first hybrid. Disregarding the fact that the Jurassic franchise has always played fast and loose with the canon, and the line from the Netflix show should not be considered binding for all future movies, the D-Rex and the Mutadons being hybrids doesn't interfere with the lore of the Scorpius Rex at all. Scorpius Rex was made in 2009. The opening scene of Jurassic World Rebirth takes place in 2010. While the D-Rex is large enough that you might think, and actually would logically think, it's a couple years old at this point, maybe it's been through accelerated growth like what we see with Bumpy, and the Scorpius Rex could have been made a few months earlier, making it on a technicality still the first hybrid. And just because they made the Scorpius Rex first doesn't mean the D-Rex and Mutadon should have been perfect at that point, because the Scorpius Rex itself was also a failed hybrid, deformed and unfit for display in the park. A couple of months of research later wouldn't have yielded a much superior result. Scorpius Rex, D-Rex, and Mutadon are all from the same era of early experimentation where failure was a common thing. For me, the D-Rex and Mutadons being failed hybrids makes so much more sense to me, because they never looked like genuine natural mutations, and that irked me, that they're trying to tell me it's something that it clearly isn't. So this makes them fit in the franchise much better in my opinion. Let me know what you think in a comment down below. For more on Jurassic World Rebirth, check out my full trailer analysis or my breakdown of and predictions for the T-Rex river raft scene, and subscribe to stay up to date on future developments in the Jurassic franchise.